Welcome. Hang on, Dwayne's calling. Hello?
Actually, while I was here, somebody.
Oh, very good.
Rattled
Right,
the hell
bye.
out of
Sorry, the
me.
engineer wasn't here yet, so I was trying to figure that out. He's close. Do we have any public
I wasn't
comments?
sure, but it looked like he wasn't.
Any public comments? Any public comments? Okay, do we have a motion to acknowledge minutes?
So
Do we have a second?
From October 28th and October 30th.
Yep.
Yes.
good job. My bad.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I'm more about
Aye.
November first.
Okay, the engineer will be here in a little bit. We are gonna move down to meet with the ambulance director because he needs to leave. So good morning, Josh.
Good morning, everybody. So we'll start with transports for October. We had 125 calls for service. Of those, we had 130 contacts, so a couple of the calls had multiple patient encounters. And then 19 trips from Jefferson County Hospital. Billing for October, 91,548 is what's been processed so far. So kind of a lower month when you compare to some of the others, but
How much have we actually received?
that's, I didn't even look at it because it usually takes a couple months for us to get caught up for.
Yeah. So, I know we talked months ago, a while back, about after we'd been up and running for a year to possibly go to the percentage instead of a flat fee. And could you, find out more about that to
Mhm,
see if we
absolutely.
recoup more?
Yeah.
And where are we on GEMT?
No movement yet. I haven't, kind of, I was waiting to see how some other things were gonna play out, but I will, I think I sent some stuff to Darcy, I think, to fill out. There was some information that we needed. I'm waiting on that to come back. Cause that was a bunch of stuff that I wasn't familiar with.
Right,
So, yeah.
because that'll help us with the Medicaid and we
It
do
absolutely
meet the
will.
minimum.
Yes. Yep.
criteria
Keep
for
in
that.
mind on that, though, not to plan on that because we're a year behind.
Yeah,
Okay, so in other words, we have to go a year in that program before they.
Right,
right. So, yeah, it's gonna be a process. I mean, getting the stuff submitted is relatively easy. I just need to get that stuff back from Darcy, I think, but other than that,
okay, good.
it'll still be a little bit.
So I have a couple of things. One, I want to thank you for working on the weekend. He was shit all weekend on.
Yeah, I did it ended up being like a 52-hour shift.
Oh,
That would help to have with. The other thing is, I know you talked about going to a hard schedule. Have you done that yet?
So actually, I have that on here. That will start on December 1st. So I've got a copy of what that looks like. That's not I don't know if Joe will on or not.
what are the colors mean?
So the colors are open
Mm,
spots we have right now. So the blue is EMT and the reds are paramedic openings. I still have the blue highlighted areas are EMT openings and the red are paramedic openings. I still have a paramedic on orientation. She has yet to give me her availability based on what's left. And then I have an EMT who has yet to give me his availability based on what's left. They were both the bottom of the yeah,
yeah.
seniority list, I guess. So, and then I have a bunch of paramedics that are going to be needing like PRN staff that will pick up what's left. I have a handful of applications still on my desk for EMTs, which we're kind of overstaffed on EMTs, even for PRN staff. But
So
I'll bring them on probably.
how many full-time EMTs we have? Counting the ones on family leave? Assuming the one on family leave is coming back.
she'll come back, yeah, she's off with baby. We have her full-time EMTs, I think we have six each, 6 EMTs and 6 paramedics full-time.
So we could use a couple more
Yeah, well,
or part-time.
part-time, yeah,
that are-
part-time at least, yeah.
So we say more flexible.
Right. So yeah, like I said, I've got a handful of applications still. A few of them I know want full-time, but we're not gonna have the spots for them for full-time, so. We'll get what we can, but this will go into effect on December 1st, and it'll be just a rotating 2 weeks.
Very good.
So I help with standardizing the room of staff. So, yeah,
All right. Anything else?
Is Permar done?
Permore's done.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got the bill for Permore. I don't know who wants that. I only have one copy. $6,645.70. The sales rep is gonna get back to me. I did ask him to break it down, because we added a couple of things.
Right.
We added another door, which was another sensor and all that other stuff. But I reached out to him. He's gonna get with the tech who was here to see what the cost would have been if we'd only kept what we had already scheduled.
So is this coming out of his budget?
I thought that was coming out of,
Come out of our buildings line item
Okay.
when we originally paid the $10,000.
But that $10,000 is way down the road now, Lee.
Right.
So this is 6,000
Well, that's
something.
true,
And
but what
Did you
we-
just say that it's coming out of the buildings fund?
Well, it did. We haven't made that decision at this
Mhm.
point, but it also is going to go to the county attorney's office to recoup these,
Right.
or the attempt to recoup the dollars.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
We just can't have it today.
Right.
Yeah, I suppose we should talk to the county attorney before we
Yeah.
broadcast it to the world here.
So who wants to take that role? Will you
Yeah,
put it on the agenda then for whenever? All right.
uniforms, I did get estimates back for uniforms from, I only got one so far, Stitch Doctor. In Atumwa, so
we
1,400.
share one uniform, is that?
What's that? Yeah, we're gonna share one uniform. Everybody's just gonna pass it around. Hope it gets washed in between. $1,403.16 for shirts for all of the staff. Again, I don't know if you guys want copies of this or not, but I have yet to hear back from Top Dog. We've been corresponding with them via email. I'm waiting to hear back a final from them, and then reach out to some other places and see. But I know, personally, I know Stitch Doctor's work. They've made some shirts personally for shirts for me in the past, and the uniforms we wear in Atumwa are from them, so I know their work is good, but I'll still wait to hear back from some of the other places.
Yes.
And then my question, I only have one question, with the tax levy from JCHC, when do we know for sure when that ends? Is that this year or next year? Because I hear it's
Well,
conflicting.
We, Brian, sorry, I apologize. Josh and I had a conversation. Josh and I had a conversation. I did it so you didn't have to do it, okay? And he brought up something that I hadn't even thought of, because I was thinking in a 12-month window. But it makes sense that they're gonna end it on June 30th,
That's what I figured. Yeah.
because that's the end of the fiscal year.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking you're right, just.
This
based
year?
on- Yeah,
Okay.
the end of this year.
Well, June 30th of 25.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's when it's gonna end.
Yeah,
that is solid.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure, because that's kind of what the
so you'll
hospitals
get one
talked
more
about.
round after March's taxes.
Okay. Because I know when we met last month,
Mhm.
the, yeah, the schedule, like after, I don't remember what day it was, like the last meeting we were supposed to have scheduled. After that, it was kind of like, we'll see what happens. So
and I think that was based on the levy too, so,
Okay,
because the levy passed, there will be no more hospital levy funds transferred.
and that's what that's also what I assumed, so.
And then we'll start July 1st collecting.
With the one that just passed for us.
Right.
Okay, that's what yeah,
We should see the first round of that sometime after September,
okay,
if I understand correctly.
all right.
Because when I'm talking to Shannon, we couldn't. How to say this? We couldn't. If it hadn't gone positive in November, we could have rerun it in March. But we couldn't have budgeted for it
Right,
without it having been successful. So now we can, when we sit down to do budgets, now we can plan on that.
Okay. Yep.
Took me a while to get that out, but
I know, you
yeah,
cool,
but I haven't been drinking yet.
yeah, still early.
Yeah,
All right. So, yeah, my intent then is to have a conversation with the hospital sometime early, well, probably in the spring, to discuss our contract with them. So
Okay,
that's on my radar.
and then we have on here, discuss and consider non-transport ambulance charges.
okay, thank you. I forgot I had that on there. So I had a conversation with a young lady and I know we agreed to implement these transport charges, but my question simply boils down to this. On those that, and I'll use me as an example. So when the ambulance came to me, when the dog decided to see if I could fly,
Yes,
uh,
good way to say that.
I had at that point in time the option of refusing to go.
Yes,
And believed that I would have been charged, should have been charged for that. I don't disagree with that at all, whatever the rate is.
$200.
Okay, the question from this individual was that, this is a, what do you call it? Lift assist.
Yes.
And I realize we're sending a rig out and we're sending people out. I guess my question to the board was, or is that something that we maybe need to rethink
What charging?
on for the lift assists?
Well, I know when we've started planning ever since,
Right.
we were gonna charge for
And we
that.
have been, and I'm
Yeah.
not, and I'm just wondering I'm just asking if we look at lift assist differently than the rest of it, or is that the majority of your, what do we call it? Non-transport, calls is lift assist.
A vast majority of our non-transports are lift assist. A handful would be like diabetics will show up, we'll give them syrup and they won't want to come with us once they come around. And then, but yeah, vast majority are like just help up off the floor, that kind of stuff.
How many do we do? This lady, I should have said, like, this individual indicated that we respond quite often to that location.
I can't tell you right off the top of my head how many, like,
You had,
Anyway, go ahead.
you had it on something recently. There's some. But it's one of those things. The county, I mean, is
No,
still
but
paying for all the
evidently-
service to
I
get
don't
there
know.
and staff and
I
everything.
assume Medicare must not cover it, or Medicaid.
a lot of times, no. So that comes out of their pocket. So. I'm not opposed to not charging for those. Where it becomes a little bit of an issue is when we have people abusing the system.
Exactly.
That's my only hesitation there.
Well, so I guess what I would ask is amongst all your free time. If you could develop not necessarily a spreadsheet, just kind of give us an indication of on a monthly basis, how many of those, because we take a look at it maybe and say, well,
I
we
know,
can't be doing all that for free.
right. And I know some people that do use that and it's very helpful and I don't think they have a problem.
Right.
You know, maybe if it's a problem for somebody with financial, we do that. Have a
Mhm.
process that like if you're on Medicaid or whatever.
And you know, if you've got ones
Or
that
low
you're
income, then we
familiar
grab
with
it
that
off.
you believe are overusing it, so to speak. You know, those sort of things, but just a conversation, I agree, you know, we can't be sending folks out to fuel and that sort of thing, but I also understand that some of the folks that we're servicing, their financial wherewithal is not
Right.
great.
Right.
And that's where we need just to get a process and a procedure that, you know, if your income's less than whatever,
Mhm.
then we look at writing that off.
Yeah, which I'm not opposed to that at all.
Okay,
I would like not to charge anybody, but that's not realistic.
Well-
Well, then it gets to the place where if we're doing that and busy doing that, we need to be able to service the real
Yeah,
911.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So, okay,
Cool. I will definitely have that information for you.
anything
Okay.
else ambulance wise? Otherwise, I know you have to depart us right now.
I don't have anything else.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
All righty, morning, Dwayne.
Good morning. I'm sorry I was late, supervisors. I had a site I needed to go put eyeballs on.
Happy Monday on a Tuesday.
That's about right. So we're still patching chip seals. We did some horse trading with Van Buren County. We did some sawing for them and they're letting us borrow their total patches. So we have 2 units going, so we have the ability to tag team for when they have to go get a load of material, so that they continue total patching and don't have the downtime when they're going to get a load. Van Buren County's happy with it, we're happy with it, so we're good on that. Had a couple people call about non-detour route traffic on Kale Avenue. And unfortunately, we did not have any additional dust control material left, which was a sore subject, but I made some phone calls to Benson Stevens and then also SFG, who deals in beet juice, just to see what it would take for a cost to do 300 feet in front of each residence along Kale. And that would run somewhere around $7,000 for material, and we would apply it ourselves. Which is,
So I do have a question. What about the next road? The next road, when do we stop? Sorry,
that's,
I mean, that's I just wanted to see it.
I just, you know, I saw it was on the agenda, so I went ahead and made calls on the costs. Trent did have that scheduled for doing his grading. It's been on his list pretty much all year, so he went through and put some rock on it and is in the process of getting it graded, so it's in decent shape again. But it's hopefully I notified the quarry about the load limit on the low water crossing, so hopefully that will shut off the truck traffic that was using that route, and that may or may not help with the dust issue.
Won't the dust need go down a little bit considering the time of year we're going
Hopefully,
into?
well,
Yeah,
it's a little damp
don't you dare
now.
talk snow.
And there's rain forecast for later
Tomorrow.
this week and into next week, so that Mother Nature may take care of that for us. And then one of the people that I talked with had indicated that a lot of folks were using the turnarounds that we have on either side of the low water stream crossing for what would best be described as illegal activities, and possibly using substances that aren't approved for anything other than,
They won't desperate, but
yeah, they weren't desperate with it, no.
So.
And then I also noticed
why
that
isn't-
our no
Why
parking
isn't the
signs.
sheriff's department dealing with
He
that?
said the sheriff was aware of that, but I told
You
him I would
were
mention.
aware
it
of
to
it
him.
dealing with,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I told him I would remind Bart about that issue. And our no parking signs that you guys approved this summer either did not get installed or have been stolen. So
Joe,
That must be quite the area.
we're going to reinstall no parking signs down there as well.
Thank you.
So,
well, let me back up on that for a second. If they didn't get installed, we should have them.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, we should have them, and that's, I called my.
You were so
I
quick.
called my, I
Thank you.
called,
You were on the
I
ball.
called my sign guy and asked him about him and. And he does so many things, he just plain didn't remember, so I called Melissa, I said, didn't the board, you know, and I asked, didn't the board approve that, or am I hallucinating? No, they approved it, I'll find it for you, so. But, you know, at my age, it's always a question, you know, if I'm misremembering or.
You should never open the door. With her on that. Yeah.
Then let's see, the patching on Packwood. Should start this week if weather permits, hopefully. They said they'd be there Wednesday through Friday, so I'm not quite sure if it's gonna take them Wednesday through Friday to do the work. Or they may show up Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, they're just not sure. But
So is somebody from the sheriff's office on by?
Yes.
Right,
Hang on a minute.
You'll have to talk loud.
oh. Whisper.
Uh-huh.
Thanks. Yeah, anybody from the sheriff's office on? Cornelius says,
Yeah, we're here.
okay,
Hey, just real quick, obviously you've heard the conversation. Among other reasons, maybe to be down there, I'm asking the question, it's a formal question. If we have a load limit on that, if we happen to be down there, if if it appears that the load limit is being exceeded, can we stop them? And issue a ticket or anything? I don't know the answer to that.
We would probably get the DOT involved.
Okay, I just didn't know how that worked. So,
Yeah, we would have to have them there.
okay. Thank you.
Yes.
do I have anything else, Dwayne? The rest of your
see,
list?
We're doing the chip seal patches, they're still on Juniper. And we've got 146th. We've got ditch work to do yet on 136th in conjunction with the twin tank cars. And I have a partial pay app to submit to Sitka for you to sign here after a bit.
Okay.
So we can get some reimbursement for that before we're final. I'm pretty sure they allow us to do installments on that or ask for progress payments on that grant.
Great.
And we've got some other issues or items on the agenda.
All right, let's go to
Just,
the,
Dee, if I
yeah,
could real
sure.
quick, I handed Dwayne a phone number. I talked to the young lady yesterday, it was on message on the phone. So evidently they've tore down something and they've got this concrete.
Mhm.
And I told her I didn't know. I don't know what it looks like, I don't know how big a chunks it is or anything.
What are you talking about, Lee? Is it on the agenda?
Well, no, I just gave him the number to explain to him why I gave him that phone number.
He's still visiting with the engineer. Yeah, we, as a general rule, if it's clean concrete, we take it. Because we always have use for it under bridges and in ditches for erosion control. We allow people to bring it to our yard if it's clean and doesn't have a lot of steel in it, and if it does have steel, we ask that they have it cut off at the edges, so we may not have a use for it right this instant, but we always will eventually have a need for it.
Well, I invited her to call your office, but I went ahead and wrote it down too, so.
I will contact.
All right, moving on, set date for public hearing for vacation of 118th Street, East Pleasant Plain, adjacent to 1160 and 1156 Raspberry Avenue.
This is just a platted alley that was never actually
You have a
used as
picture
such.
of this?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Is this the same one we've talked about or a different one?
Raspberry's the same anyway.
That's
Well,
what I thought.
it's, we've vacated alleys, I believe, across on the east side of
Okay.
Raspberry. This would be on the west side.
Okay. All right.
But
So where that business is there, on the north side of the road. West of Raspberry, where it's Lina, right?
no,
Oh,
East
okay,
Pleasant Plain.
okay,
East
I
Pleasant
was
Plain. You were thinking Rabbit.
yeah.
So what kind of timeline are you looking at for this? Just whenever?
Whatever works.
So do you want to wait if we need to set a hearing December 2nd?
I was peeking in.
Does that work?
Yeah.
December 2nd?
I don't think they're in any hurry. Most of just wanted to get it done. They called the office and asked for the procedure.
All right, I'll make a motion. We set a hearing December 2nd at 9 a.m. Yes,
Second,
and we have a second. Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
aye,
Okay, discuss and consider procedure for filling supervisory positions within road department.
We have posted at the courthouse here the opening for supervisor. In our job description, one of the criteria is having 5 years experience within the department, so it kind of limits the number of applicants. When I first asked to have this put on, I wasn't sure if, how we could, promote from within, but then I went back through and kind of looked through the handbook, and I think with us having it posted here, if anybody is interested in it, that needs to, we notified the guys within the department if anybody was interested. So.
Make sure to have it posted for 10 days.
Yep.
And you might want to touch base with Jack if you have any questions.
Yeah, I was looking for a way around the,
5 years.
no, just being able to specify that as a hire from within or a promote from within. But I think with the posting requirement, I don't think it's an issue. We've got a few of the guys that are interested in it. I don't know how many of them will actually get applications in. Wait for the 10 days and then move forward.
so in the interim, who should they reach out to you or to Thomas for? Especially if you, whatever, if there's an emergency.
Bob Cronk,
Okay.
Cronk is the assistant superintendent.
Okay, that's right, okay.
So he
Okay.
always would step up when the superintendent was not available. That's works fine.
All right, anything else on that? All right. Number 2, discuss and consider joint agreement with Henry County for the pavement rehabilitation of Old 34 from Henry County line east approximately 0.8 miles.
And this is effectively a swap of farm to market funds. They're both FM routes in both counties, so it doesn't hit the budget of either department. It's just the IDOT pretty well takes care of swapping the money around after the project's done. It comes out of our farm to market budget initially, and then they'll swap, then we'll submit a statement showing the charges that were applicable to Henry County, and they'll make the transfer and go back into our account.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
How many copies do you need to?
One. We'll just scan it and email it,
Okay.
and then electronically submit it to the state.
All right. Discuss and consider dust proofing and upgrading routine maintenance on 227th and Cal.
We just had that conversation.
Yeah, we did that. That's what I
Sorry.
thought. 3,
That's all right.
discuss and consider pay step increase for secondary roads employee.
Mr. Quinn Daniel, who's
And
been with the department 3 years now, so he is at step E, I believe, or will be at step E. He'll have one more year, and then he'll be at his final wage for an equipment operator. He's a very good addition to the department. I have not heard any bad feedback on him from any of the residents in his greater district. He's works out of the Glasgow shed. So
Motion to approve.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we need 2 copies of this one. Who's this? All right. Thanks, Dwayne. Number 4, discuss and consider hiring Christy Bickerman as legal secretary / paralegal program administrator for the county attorney payment program in the county attorney's office. And Chauncey said you would be joining
Yes,
us.
ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So we are super excited to have this hire, Christy Bickerman. She started practicing law as a legal, as a legal assistant in Fairfield in December of 2000. So December of this year will be 24 years of experience for her. Chris Barker in our office is retiring on December 13th. Yes.
Who gave her permission to do
I
that?
know, we didn't give her permission. So congratulations to her. It'll be, she's been doing our collections program and helping bring money into the county for 13, almost 14 years now. So it'll be some really big shoes to fill, but we really believe that Christy is going to be a positive and all her years of knowledge. Not only will she be able to help as the collections program administrator, but she's also going to do some of the paralegal work because she's done that for 24 years. So very huge asset to us. Christy will start on December 2nd. So there will be 2 weeks of training time, which doesn't sound like a lot when you're trying to eat. Chris, built our program over the past 13, 14 years, but we have full faith that Christy will be able to step in and take her spot well. And we're also going to cross train at that time so that we have multiple people in the office that are knowledgeable on the collections program and can step in and fill shoes whenever needed. And Christy currently works for Morrissey Law Office. So she'll be coming over from there part-time, probably keeping around the same hours that Chris had. So either Chris works 8 to 1 Monday through Friday. Christy probably will be working either that or like a 9 to 2 shift. So very similar hours. So there's not a lot of disruption to our office. We got the same timeframes.
So just so I'm clear on this, is she working for both offices or just for ours?
I think at the beginning, she's going to make sure that she has helped John Morrissey transition and anything she's working on for him. So she'll be at our office part-time and then possibly helping still with John some getting
I
stuff
just didn't know
finished
that
up there.
Potentially a conflict there at some point.
Right, I
And
think,
I don't know that there ever would be, I don't know what it would be, I just,
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think Chauncey felt there
No.
was, and he's pretty excited about her,
yeah,
because she's very well qualified.
yeah, they kind of handle a totally different aspect of,
Right.
you know, the city stuff than we do in the county, and we don't foresee any conflicts.
Yeah.
and-
There's always conflict with me.
But you know, we all put up with some people.
That's right,
I
that's
know,
right.
I
Good
know.
point,
Yeah,
good
thank
point,
you.
yeah. I'll make motion to approve.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Number 5, discuss and consider disposal system contractor's license for Prosper Companies.
Did you get this? I was laying on the table.
No,
I put it in your pocket.
Oh, my bad.
sounds to me like it's just basically from environmental health.
Um, If anybody might be listening or why we're, or in the case of Joe being on the Board of Health, why we do this, because this falls under our jurisdiction in our ordinance as far as contractors and receiving the bonds and that sort of thing, and then they're kept in. Shannon keeps them in the auditor's office, but this is under county ordinance.
Okay.
So I have a motion to approve.
Second,
A motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Number 6, discuss and consider tax abatement for parcel 1002101001. Goodness. Mark, I know you're on there.
Morning.
Morning.
Sean, you're in there, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is a parcel that now belongs to Jefferson County Conservation.
The Hardin County.
Well, it's that piece we bought
Recently,
22 that's south.
Yep.
It's the addition to Jefferson County Park. I don't know why it hasn't come off. We don't make revenue on it, you know,
Right.
the property and pay property tax on it stuff. We do farm rental through. This piece was never in that. It was part of that Deer Creek subdivision.
it's just part of the process when people.
Yeah, we paid.
Oh,
We said we were supposed to pay the following year, but it's back a year, which we did, and I don't know. It seems like it just slipped through the cracks here.
Sure.
So is the second one the same thing then?
I'm not sure that.
No,
Okay,
Second one is-
Something else.
okay. So I motion to approve the tax abatement for parcel 1002101001.
could you repeat that?
Sure. For Jefferson County Conservation.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The second one, I mistyped the number on the agenda, so
Uh-oh.
I'll have to look at the resolution.
I've got it if you want it.
Okay.
It's in front of them too.
Oh. Well, fine.
Second one is
I mean, you can say it if you want.
discuss
No,
and consider tax abatement for parcel 1001260030. All right.
this is the one that belongs to the city of Fairfield now, which is why those two are sitting in there
Yes.
thinking happy Tuesday.
Okay.
And this is for $104.
Yes.
We can,
And before you guys sign off on it, please make sure that you have the correct parcel number listed.
You know if it is?
Yeah, there's, 2 1s in the middle, so it's 1001126 030.
It's on the resolution, correct?
Okay. So if you look at this part, it's on here as 1001126 030. It's just on the agenda
Agenda.
wrong.
Or whatever you want to put.
Okay,
motion to approve?
Second.
a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
So this is Court Street on the south side by Pilot Grove.
Okay,
This should be the last year. We got it dedicated in December of last year. So, and then last year you abated the taxes, and so then it's in the city's name now.
okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discuss and consider joint agreement with Jefferson County, Iowa and the city of Fairfield, Iowa for proposed North Campus Ridge urban renewal area. Come on up. Welcome.
Like the price is right.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. And this is a whole packet, 8 in your
Yeah.
file.
So what this is the housing development by Vasti Partners. And it is actually in the county, but being annexed into the city. And we are asking for an agreement with the county to have them move forward. And we actually have to have an agreement between the county and the city and the city and Vedic City, because it's in the, within the 2-mile radius of Vedic City. And I'll be going to their council meeting tomorrow to ask for the same thing. This housing development will be a TIF district and will enter into an agreement with Vasti Partners. And I believe that there are, this is low to moderate income housing, and I think there's 37 housing units. And we will be helping them with, we will be helping them with their critical infrastructure such as water and sewer.
So can you talk to us more about the TIF and how that's, much that's gonna be and how that's gonna work?
I don't believe it, and of course I had all that stuff highlighted, and it's hard to find when it's a gazillion pages, right? So I believe it is $2.4 million over 20 years. 37 single family residential.
Yeah, it's on page 6.
Yeah, page 6, the agreement. And this actually, when we tip an area, it goes into the money's being spent specifically on water sewer streets. It has to be a public purpose. It can't just go into, constructions of homes, lots, or.
So I'm gonna ask you a question that probably nobody knows the answer to,
I try.
but for the sake of just discussion. So I've been on the ISAC legislative board for the Iowa Supervisors. And one of the things that we talked about is after our levy passed, which we're grateful for, any TIF is gonna dip into the levy and pull money out of that. And so when I first learned about this, I asked our auditor and he said, well, we didn't have that much TIF in our county, which we don't. It's a tool, not to be used all the time, but it has its place. So I just want to raise the question, and hopefully somebody will find the answer, if that's going to take money away from the ambulance levy and how much.
And so in follow-up to that, if you annex it in, does that take it out of the equation?
That's what I'm wondering as well, but
I don't know.
I'll definitely
either.
ask the question.
I don't think anybody knows, but I know
Yeah.
there's been some talk, it needs to be changed, the law at the legislative level.
Mhm.
So as we all talk to our legislators, this is one thing that's makes sense, that should not be a big deal, but who knows?
Right.
So we all need to get educated and carry the ball on this, because we
That's
just need to know, because it's gonna affect how much money comes in from the
Right.
ambulance level under the current system,
That's a
my
fair
understanding.
question. Yeah, that's a fair question.
And then, and a kind of a follow-up on that. Is this area specific, obviously what you're annexing in, but how wide or how big is the net that you're going to capture in the tip? Is it going to capture construction outside what you annex in?
No, not from my understanding. It's specifically for this area that is mapped out.
Because we've been down that road quite a few years ago.
Yeah,
Would you disagree with that?
No, so this is the Reef Grain area,
Okay,
and the only reason we're here is because it is within 2 miles of Vedic City, and we can't annex it at this point. We would not need to be here if if the annexation was finalized. So
I think it's all in the best interest of this whole community to get that.
annexed,
And
but we can't.
And move forward on the
So,
project, we need the housing, and it also will help clean that area up.
And it's actually very ironic, so the phase 6, the houses, the triplexes, the 2-story triplexes, it's actually closer to Vedic City than this phase, but for some reason, the Secretary of State approved it. And now we're gonna back and forth with them, they're questioning why they approved it, and hopefully we didn't get some secretary fired, but so it's I mean,
It's a saga.
it is, and just, I mean, to put it in perspective, if this was annexed, we wouldn't be here, so.
Right.
so how do we address the question of the revenue? I mean, let me ask, if we don't ask this agreement and they don't annex it in, they can't tip it. Right? Am I right?
Sounds like it.
So my question is, if they annex it in and tip it, as you indicated, that there's that possibility, how do we get clarification on that?
Nobody seems to know the answer. Because it sounds like one of those gray areas that in some places it affects it and some it doesn't, and I don't know, it's just.
I would assume that they would have to disseminate, or, they would have to separate those sorts of levies out, because that doesn't go to critical infrastructure. But
I
I'll
just,
do some digging. I can actually call, maybe I can call our attorneys, and or some king, maybe they would have an answer to that question, maybe.
but I think the light at the end of the tunnel is, I think, was some contact with legislators. This should be it's on ISAC's radar.
Well, see, my
So it should
understanding
be
is that
remedied.
school districts are not affected by tips. They still collect their revenue. Irrespective of a tip area. The only reason that came up, or reason I recollect that to some extent, was when we were looking at Heartland Co-op.
Hmm.
And we were looking at potentially tipping that out there, and we did find that the school district was not affected by the TIF. I don't know why that, other than it's built into the legislation somewhere, I suppose.
I just wanted to mention it. It may not be an issue because we're county. I just don't know.
I
I just
can't
don't.
imagine, if you think about it critically, all of the aspects of the TIF area has to go to critical infrastructure. However, the ambulance itself is gonna service that area
Right.
because it's a county ambulance. So those funds collected has
Well,
to
I
go
would
to what
assume
they're-
in those counties I might use Henry County as an example, only because I know they have zoning. I would assume that Wapello County does too, county zoning. I would assume that if they TIF an area in one of those zoned counties, that requirements of the TIF would apply just like it does in the city in terms of, but if it's in the city and it's in they're TIFing it, I don't think it impacts us and our.
That's
and our-
my question. How could a city TIF affect a county levy?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just
That's the question to ask.
yeah, and I'm not sure it does, Mark. I just wanted to mention there was some discussion about updating the law because in some places it's been a problem, but not everybody experiences that, and I
Well,
don't know.
and here's the other thing we need to remember. The ballot language and what the voters approved was a specific purpose used for that money, and that
That's
is
true.
not allowed to go somewhere else.
Right.
Right. All right, so that
I just
said,
happened to think of that. That's,
do we have any motion for this?
motion to approve what do I call this? The urban renewal plan? The urban renewal plan for North Campus Ridge. And when will the annexation take place? Do we know?
We're working on it now, maybe Melanie's get closer answers. than I do.
After it goes through the city development board. So never, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, you didn't, because when you contacted me about this, there was something that had to happen November 21st.
That's for the urban renewal area,
Okay.
but yeah, we still are going through the city development board. On various pieces.
But I am correct that as long as it's county, you can't tip it till it's annexed.
Correct.
All right,
Without this agreement.
so if I'm looking at this, okay, so we have a motion, right?
Well, I don't know,
Do we-
and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be a pain in the butt. Yeah, I do, because this is why I'm asking the question. But Melanie just said something, as long as we don't have the agreement, but if we have the agreement, you can TIF this even though it's not annexed in?
No, this is the agreement that is. We're moving forward with the urban renewal, but we can't TIF anything until it's annexed.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they can build it, but we can't give them, we can't move forward with the agreement between us and that department.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Susie, you good?
I'm really good.
Are you? I'm confused.
For lack
I
of
know.
anything else, I will make a motion to approve
Okay.
this. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Do we have any discussion?
Oh, please. Please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so it looks like on this last page I signed.
Yes.
Do you just need one copy?
Yes.
Do you need one, Abby? Yes, please. Well, the auditor needs to sign this and he'll get it to you. Can I have your copy, Susie?
There you go.
Oh, sure.
This one too. Yes, that's this.
Alrighty, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
That you've spent countless hours on this.
It looked like
No,
you should
no,
have
so did
signed
me,
that in
though.
front of a notary.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
I need to go do this in front of a
Run across the
notary,
hall.
so I need another
But Scott
copy.
needs to
Is
sign
Melanie
it
a
as
notary?
well.
No,
Oh,
you can come back. Let us know when it's signed.
Can I have your copy, Lee?
sure.
I'll go get that done after the meeting.
I mean, you're so far away. I mean,
I can do that. Waiting for
We'll
my
nail
police
it.
to come over.
we'll come back.
Do you need a different copy?
Yeah, I'll do two.
I think you can just sign this one again.
Okay.
In front of the notary, but Scott also has to sign it.
But I guess we can do it separate.
Scott
We don't
here?
have to do it at the same time, do we?
Will be if he's not already.
All right. All right, thanks. I'll get it to Abby after it's notarized, okay?
Keep no cops.
Bet. Everybody knows everybody, huh?
All right, thank you. And number 9, discuss and consider appointing Damian Wimmer and Mike Long as medical examiner investigators. Who put this on the agenda, Abby?
Mark.
Marcus.
Okay,
Who?
Mark.
he's from the medical examiner's office.
He was the interim director of 1015 Transit for a while.
The letter is, as a Jefferson County medical examiner, I ask that the county formally appoint Damian Wimmer and Mike Long as medical examiner investigators. This request is due to Iowa Administrative Rule 641-127.7, which outlines the duties and qualifications of a county medical examiner investigator. Damian is a former EMT with Jefferson County Ambulance, and Mike is currently a paramedic in Jefferson County. Following board approval, we will seek approval from the Iowa Office of the State Medical Examiner. And it's from Dr. Brian Quinn, medical examiner. So,
I had noticed on our bills that we've used Dr. Tovera and a few other folks to maybe do something with that.
this is the same thing. I just think they're trying to get more people
Mhm.
trained to do it. So
And
obviously one
we
person
pay
doesn't,
for that?
it comes out of our budgets. It's in our budget.
I just didn't clear, just to be clear. What are the minimum qualifications for this?
Probably, they just have to be a licensed healthcare person and take training, obviously. So they're qualified.
That's pretty generic, licensed healthcare person.
I
Is
looked
that
it up
like
last time.
EMT,
Yeah, EMT checks, because when it was on the agenda a few months ago, I
Well,
checked it
and-
out.
You know, Mark was a police officer, retired. So I don't know, I'm
There-
assuming he took some, whatever you would call it. But
Yeah.
I don't know, because I've never done
So I don't know if you want to look up the code and bring it to us next week, you can, but I know I
it. I
did
know
it.
what happens when you assume, but I have to assume that Dr. Quinn is aware of whatever the requirements are.
Mhm.
And then again, it says approved by the Office of the State Medical Examiner.
Right, I mean, I
From,
think,
after we approve, they approve.
Yeah.
And this costs Jefferson County every time they do something.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
What's the total for that for last year? I'm just curious.
I don't know, I have no idea. We
It'd be
may
on the
not have used
budget.
it.
And do we always have two people on this? I'm just asking the question.
well, I think, again, they just want to hire more or get more people trained.
So
be
I
able
think
to
for
do this.
clarification for anybody that's listening, one person goes. It just depends on who's available.
Who's
at the time,
available.
what's
It's,
the need.
it's like a
And I
PRN
don't know-
status.
I don't know what the cost is individually.
Mhm,
And sometimes we have no cost,
mhm.
you know.
How many times does that happen? No cost,
Well, that's,
not with much.
yeah, you know, but I mean, unless somebody has passed away or a medical examiner is required to go in and
Abby's
say, yeah, they're
looking it up.
dead. I don't know exactly what all they do.
Thanks, Abby.
Prior to appointment, a CMEI should possess a minimum of 2 years of experience as a licensed or certified nurse or medical care provider. A certified peace officer may be appointed to the position if a nurse or medical care provider is not available.
Which would explain why Mark came on board years ago.
Mhm.
We probably didn't have any.
Mark,
Hey, it's,
okay.
Can you look up the budget or ask Shannon how much we spent last year?
Yeah, that's one of those revolving door ones, it's just, it could be 20,000 this year and 120,000
Yeah,
next
sure.
year.
It just depends what
I
happens.
She's the one that codes that, Shannon does.
Okay. But it comes out of the supervisor budget.
And I have lots of questions. So why two now when last time it was just one?
Again, I suppose, I don't know the answer to that. I'm just making sure that somebody is available if a call comes in, I guess. I mean, because I know Mark has done it over here in the past because we never had anybody. I remember that when I was here the first time.
Mhm.
So I think it's just a matter of when they call,
Mhm.
somebody's available. And I don't know if they do a rotation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, I think you mentioned peace officer, somebody's to be a police officer couldn't do this, or a deputy.
Well,
There's a
except,
training.
except what she just read is when somebody else is not available.
Mhm.
A certified peace officer can do it if a medical.
So that's probably the reason they have two on here.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know any more about it than that, actually. I don't know.
Have
how
you
many
talked to
times they call.
Have you talked to Damien or Mike?
Nope. And Mike was not on here the last time, but,
No, he wasn't.
um,
A county medical examiner may appoint one or more county medical examiner investigators upon approval of the Board of Supervisors and the state medical examiner.
so it all goes back to the state. They're the final arbiter.
Mhm.
And I don't know how busy, I mean, and I'll just use the one that we currently have. If that individual's on duty at the hospital, it's gonna make it difficult for them to go out
Sure.
to some site. So you have more than one individual available to respond.
Yep.
Well, in this case, I don't know what Damien's doing now, but
Don't either. Retired,
I would imagine not.
I mean,
Anyway, a supervisor would be this Dr. Quinn, so. Right, do we have a motion?
motion to approve as presented.
Do we have a second? I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Yes.
Good. Meet with owner of bus move to discuss and consider invoice, and Dave told me before the meeting that the other guy is tied up in a something today that he's working on. I know Dave would like to meet with us, but, it's related to this, but it's not on the agenda. What we could do is have him part of committee reports and just act on whatever he wants next week, I suppose. Or else just put it on next week. I told him I'd call him, but whatever you want to do.
Okay, now you just confused me. Okay, so now what is it that Dave wants to talk about?
I don't know, he had some idea to just be the intermediary, and I said, well, you need to talk to the whole board, you can't just talk to me. So,
Well, I know, and I appreciate that, but
so I don't know, I didn't go any further with him until we get him on the agenda. So, if you want, you can talk to him and see.
no, as far as I'm concerned, the point is moot. I don't know. They asked to be placed on the agenda, right? And then they don't make it. So evidently it wasn't all that important.
Well, he was working on some project that he got involved in. That's all update. I'm just a messenger. All I know is what he
No.
said. So,
But our motion, which was approved, was not to exceed $7,800.
right, and that's where we are.
And absent a new motion,
Yeah.
which is not on the agenda, right? It's just,
Yeah, it's a meet with. So let's move on to committee reports.
Uh,
At our workforce meeting, they're in the process of selecting possibly some other agencies to be maybe the financial officer, maybe the service provider. So stay tuned. I have a real hard time getting excited about the workforce committee.
Yeah, we know that. I have Pathfinders and they are rock and rolling. We started a kayak,
50s and 60s or?
yeah,
Okay.
kayak and canoe rental, this summer down at Keosauqua. And, you know, for the first year and, given it went well, it was a lot of repeat customers, a lot of requests, to have a van so people can get chauffeured up the river and
If
so
you
they're
ever
gonna
have
work.
water in the river, it may
work
might
through
be
that.
booming business.
But it's a good thing. And they had a federal audit, which they get because they do a lot of federal grants. Some things they're working on in Jefferson County. Remember, they work with 5 counties, the campground, Prairie Ridge, Cedar View Trail Project, Bonneville Cabin Restoration, Carnegie Museum, and environmental building planning. So these are the kinds of projects or grants they're working on. One of the things they're doing is nothing like it in the state, and it's pretty exciting. It's an accessibility map. And there's more on the Pathfinders website about it. But it is to help people with accessibility needs to be able to navigate what's in the area. And I only know enough to know I don't know all the details, but that it is an exciting thing to have a Pathfinders spearheading this. And one of the new programs, which I'm excited about, is we bought a drone and it's a pretty good sized drone, and working with French Rediker to do some surveying. And they've done some testing with it. So basically we're going to collaborate with French Rediker so that Pathfinders will do the drone flying and that kind of thing. And then French Rediker does the data download and all that stuff. So it's when it gets up and running, it'll be pretty exciting. They are this was kind of the annual, all the staff comes in and reports. So one of the Pathfinders technicians, Tori Ward, works on the water quality and does for the Lower Skunk River and Big Sugar Creek watershed. So she goes out and measures the runoff and does that. So it's pretty exciting for that to have somebody stable in that, because I know we actually had 2 fields in the Lower Skunk River project, and through the years, the people that did that role came and go every few months, and there was very little consistency, and so they contracted with Pathfinders to provide that service. So now it's going real well. And abandoned mine reclamation, we don't have much of that in Jefferson County, but they do a lot of that in like Wapello and Mahaska County and occasionally Keokuk. So that's kind of what they're working on. Historic Hills Scenic Byway, they have a project coordinator that does the social media marketing for that. The annual Bale Trail down in Van Buren County, which again, go to Pathfinder's website. There's some pretty amazing bales. They decorate their big bales.
Huh.
And it's quite the deal. And then they're starting to develop an interpretive panel, self-guided brochure. That they can do.
My son and daughter-in-law were involved in decorating one of those. bales down there.
Some of them get real creative.
Yeah. And so development report, Krista Tedros, helping them out and working with the University of Iowa and some sustainable communities to
That's
support
exciting.
projects again in the region, rural innovation. One of the ones I think, and I wish one of the attorneys was here, they're gonna work on a youth justice diversion blueprint, and they're working with Troy Silly on this. 75,000 over 2 years to support creation of a blueprint for a youth diversion program to keep people out of the correction system. So it's just interesting, all the different projects they get involved in, and they're doing a great job. So. And I told them I want them to come and just meet with us and do reports and things, so I can get that scheduled.
So
Do you have any
I
committees?
can look at this. I had a special transit meeting. And myself and Deke Wood met with Jay Allison, our director. And what it amounts to is roughly 2 years ago, some residents of Atumwa requested a state audit, 1015 transit, same group of people that got Pam Ward tossed out on her nose, so to speak. And so they came in and they did their investigation, for lack of a better way of putting it. 2 years later, we receive a letter and they have, in their letter, it indicates, questions they have, and then, like you do in an audit, how you respond to those questions. Now, basically what it amounted to is something that I've always firmly believed. One, people who work for the state auditor's office, they're there because they can't work in anybody else's auditor's office. Because they're not, sometimes I think, the brightest bulbs in the box. But, so, one of the concerns they had was at the time that we purchased the original building on Madison, the assessed value on that property was, I think, 128, 125,000, something like that. And we paid $600,000 for the building. Well, as we're all aware of, we don't have any control over how or why a building is assessed at the rate that it's assessed at. Secondly, just as a anecdotal information, I remember Jerry Parker railing because he felt that that building was woefully under assessed. But anyway, every building that we purchased and every building that we built was approved by the Iowa Department of Transportation and funded in part by the Iowa Department of Transportation. You see a lot of small vehicles out here. You got the big buses, those are under state and federal purchase plans. But the small vehicles that you see, those are all bought with local dollars. Saves us a ton of fuel and stuff. So that's one of the questions that they had. So essentially what this is we're answering questions that the auditors raised, some of them which make absolutely no sense, but that's what we're doing. And so Deke and I and Jay sit down, we went through this and we responded to these questions and then we turned them over to Bob Breckenridge, the transit's attorney, to review before we sent them on to the state. So, this is, again, it just, the end result of satisfying a petition that was filed by some members of the community, some of which used to work for, the fixed route service, OTA. So, is what it is. There's no issues there, but that's and anybody's free to look at that, but those are the questions that the state auditor's office asked and the responses.
All right. Here's the claims.
Oh,
Allow claims and approve reports.
I do think we ought to put on the agenda to meet with Dave to discuss and consider. I should find out first. It appeared that somebody was here working on the boiler again. We just spent a lot of money on that boiler.
Why don't you just put him on for next week for discuss and consider invoice with Best Move and other county, I don't know, really what are the general building and maintenance issues. All right,
Motion to allow claims in the amount of $74,548.85.
I'll second it. Do we have any discussion? You want to see him?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.